Hello and welcome to Series 2 of Grapes and Greens, and this is the third episode. We are sat in the studio at Stoke Park because we were meant to be interviewing somebody, but unfortunately at the last minute he had to pull out. But we had already arranged for these two gentlemen to come along and do a podcast. I'm delighted to have Stuart Saxon and Stanley with me from First Cut Journal.
Thanks for having us.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks for the invite. Pleasure.
Matt couldn't make it today. What have you, your third musketeer?
No, Matt's a very busy man. He can't make it, unfortunately. But he's been involved from the start, so he's been pivotal to kind of where we got up to now. So yeah, unfortunately couldn't be here. But
I've came across First Cut Journal probably around about April, which would have been your first edition.
Yeah, it would have been about that, I think.
April first week of April.
Yeah. Just saw it on Instagram, and then obviously our mutual friend Alex Wright, who's at West Sussex, kind of saw some maybe photographs or whatever he was doing for you, and then had the opportunity to go down and play West Sussex. And we were chatting about what you were doing, and then we met up at Tatham's, which was great, and to learn a little bit more about what the journal is, what you're trying to do. So we thought it would make a great podcast. But first and foremost, like we do on every podcast, we've got to talk about wine, because grapes is really important. It also calms you down a little bit, because, Jet, this is your first podcast?
Indeed, yeah.
First podcast? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so we are delighted, as always, to represent Gusbourne as our official wine partner. And today we are drinking a 2019 Blanc de Blanc. So let me know what you think.
Well, like I say, this is actually my second glass, so I'm a big fan.
Very nice.
I think that English sparkling is right up there now, I think, isn't it? So
yeah.
We have some really great stuff available, Gusbourne being one of them, so yeah, thanks for sharing.
No, we're very lucky.
No,
absolutely, and we're delighted to have them on board as our official partner. That really brings us on to wine stories, because we always kind of start with a wine story. And Stuart, I believe your wine story kind of involves birth, a birth?
Yeah, should we provide some context?
Yeah, maybe.
There are so many great stories that I could reference when I want to talk about wine, but I think the standout one is, as we were kind of talking about earlier, so before we had my wife and I had our firstborn, she was in hospital for a couple of days and I was sent home that evening. I wasn't allowed to stay at the time and all that sort of thing. So naturally my first thought is, right, well, I'll go home, I'll enjoy my probably last bottle of wine I'll ever have, where I get to sit on my own and have a nice time. So I stopped at a little Waitrose, about half a mile up the road from our house. I bought a bottle of Rioja, I think it was called Baronia, 13 quid, nothing. I thought it was great at the time. £13 bottle of wine, pepperoni pizza. I went home and just sat on my own for a good kind of 2-3 hours and just enjoyed the quiet, really. It was the next day that our firstborn, Teddy, arrived. So yeah, that always sticks in my memory as a good story. It's come on a bit now, and this is one for you to take home with you, but this is a bottle that will actually feature in the next issue. This is a Chateau Gloria 2018.
Fantastic.
That's a beautiful, beautiful bottle of wine.
Beautiful, yeah.
Wouldn't have known what to do with
Great year as well, so
back
very
in
nice.
2015. So,
you're very kind. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah, please let me know what you think, and
definitely
see if it matches the write-up in Volume 3.
Yeah, thank you. And Glenn, your wine story?
There's a couple, really. One of them was very similar to Stu's, so I won't do that one. But the more recent story, my wife and I, we struggle on wine, and we have different tastes. She's very kind of white and rosé. I like my reds, my full-bodied reds. So at Christmas we tend to have a table, we have a his and hers wine. But during COVID, obviously we couldn't go anywhere, so we decided, we thought with two young kids, it'd be great on a Saturday night if we could get together at our bar in our kitchen, cook a nice meal, sit there, chat, and have a different bottle of rosé every Saturday, and just work our way through to see what we liked. So we did that most of the first summer in COVID, and made our way sort of through Waitrose top shelf, and discovered some really nice rosés. Her favourite's probably Lady A. She loves Whispering Angel. I think it could be the brand.
Can't say too much on the podcast, but
no,
yeah.
it's probably it's more the branding for her. But no, lovely wines. There's an Ultimate Provence which I quite like, and there's some very interesting ones as well which I won't go into, which weren't quite so nice. But it's quite a nice way to taste wines and pair them with food and stuff. So, we came out of COVID and we're sort of back to the. I'm into my reds and she's back into her whites. So
very good.
Back to the his and hers table.
Yeah, pretty much at Christmas.
And I guess that probably wine was involved when you were coming up with the idea of First Cut Journal.
It's always involved. I think it's a great link between sort of what we do and the golf. It's interestingly we were actually. I think I sort of came up with a bit of I guess it was an idea in a bar in Farnham. We had a clothing brand previous to this, which we were sort of piloting and stuff. And one of the ideas that I had for the marketing aspect was that we should do some sort of publication and feature the range or the seasonal range throughout that. And I knocked something up online, got it printed, and sort of met Stu for a glass of wine in Farnham and slapped it on the table. And he's like, "What's this? This is good." And we got sort of discussing, and the idea was born really. We've got so many years of playing different golf courses with lots of different people that there's quite a lot of experience, not from within the industry, but from the outskirts. And we thought, it's a great way to sort of tell various stories and share our experiences.
Because some people might say, why are you kind of come into this space? Certainly is a bit of a different angle, where today is mostly online, social media, and you're going for a very upmarket paper magazine. And you're not from the golf industry.
No.
So why do you think people are going to buy into your story?
We talked about it at the time, and I think, as Glenn said, the three of us have got like an enormous amount of playing history. Don't claim to be part of the game or part of the industry, but that's quite deliberate. And I think when you looked at some of the publications available at the moment for golfers or people that are interested to read about the game and stuff, they're quite similar. A lot of the mainstream golf publications. So, I read a lot of what you'd say coffee table mags and journals, that kind of style. I've got them on the shelf in the office at home and that sort of thing. And we kind of wanted to be a bit of a digital antidote, I guess. You have so many people scroll on TikTok all day, and it's nice just to sit down and read something. And we're not, like I say, we're not from the industry or anything like that, but we play good golf, we play at great venues, we take great photos, and that's what people are kind of interested in. And it's been really well received so far. And if we can help people experience golf courses that they've not played, or they might just be interested to know what it's like from an average guy's point of view. Right?
Yeah,
then
there's a lot of...
It brings it to life a little bit, I guess, when all you might see of those courses is them on TV.
Yeah, there's been a lot of new golfers coming to the game after pandemic, but I think there's also a lot of people who get to a certain age when they can't play football anymore, they can't play rugby anymore. They're probably getting to a stage where they're probably married, got young children, but also looking at that career development where golf then becomes kind of a passion. So, and the opportunity to network, both from a social perspective, but also from a career perspective. 4.5 hours on a golf course with either a client, somebody who's higher up in the organisation, that drives a lot of younger people to think actually golf is something that's cool, but also could be very beneficial to me on both sides.
Well, it sounds like you've just described me perfectly. I mean, my sort of early days, I've always been a sports fanatic. Every sport going, and there's just not enough hours in a day. Go from football to cricket to golf, fishing, all sorts. but I played football to a semi-decent level, and never really had the time to play golf. But towards the end of sort of my football career, if you want to call it that, I was sort of, on a Saturday, we might be heading down to Truro or to Maidstone or up to London somewhere, Dulwich, but I'd be on the golf course in the morning hitting 100 balls, because I knew that my next thing would be golf, and football was coming to an end, and like you say, you get to sort of 30, 31, 32, and you start to feel it in your legs, and golf was that thing where actually it's almost like starting my football career again. I'm just getting to the point where I am understanding my golf swing, understanding how to get better. I've got a bit more time on my hands, so when football does end, I can get out and play some of these courses I've always wanted to play. And it is that bit, and then for us, I think we've always talked about this. Golf is something that is then there for life, and it always draws us back to the people that perhaps we haven't seen for a long time. I mean, we're going on a golf trip next year, and there's a guy coming on that which I haven't seen since I left school. But we will pick up exactly where we left off, I'd imagine, and we'll have 4 amazing days, and we'll probably come away and we'll probably be organised to see each other again in a month's time. So it's that element, and I think it's until you kind of get into golf from that sort of angle, I think people understand the links it has with friendship and the social element, and work, like you say. Work for me started out, a lot of it was golf days and networking and stuff like that, and I loved it.
Are you still the same thing? Is that?
Yeah, I played golf when I was a young kid, maybe from 5 or 6 to 11, 12. Then I got super into football, as lots of us do, and that became it. I went to a school because it was football, not rugby, all the rest of it, and I don't think I played for 10 years, maybe a little longer. And then it was when I went into the corporate environment and met some new now friends, but at the time colleagues, and it is a place where you can spend good time with people and get to know them a little bit more. You can't have a good conversation shouting across a football pitch. So it kind of started like that. Golf is an obsessive game. I think we all think that. So kind of dove in head first back when we were playing at Chiddingfold, terrible slice and all that sort of stuff. And then I've just played really consistently since then. I was really keen to get my boys into it as well, who are now 9 and 6, and I took my 9-year-old out for the first time on a proper golf course a couple of weeks ago, and you think hopefully I get to now do that for the next 20, 30, 40 years. So I did it with my dad, now I get to do it with my sons.
Yeah.
So.
And again, does that resonate with the sort of lifestyle and the content that you're looking to create with First Cut Journal?
Yeah, the lifestyle, golf, I think if you surveyed everyone that plays golf, there'd be a lot of similarity into what you end up talking about on the course, in the bar afterwards, apart from the rounds you've just played. But, there's there's a select few topics that we think, and we talked about this when we kind of launched the journal, that it's just not, it's the nice lifestyle that's associated with golf.
What do you think those main topics will be? What are you concentrating on? In the second edition, I thought the article was really good about blade clubs, for example. It's going back the throwback where everybody's looking at new equipment, but you decided to go back to looking at what clubs you had, and it's kind of a throwback.
There's so many different elements to this as well, and I think from a lifestyle point of view, you can focus on all sorts, from your wine to your watches, your cars, to property. But there's also those bits where, like you say, that story is particularly important to me in the way I learned how to play golf. And it's an opinion piece, and not everyone will agree with me. But it's one of those things where actually it just spins golf for a moment, and perhaps it will, touch somebody and might encourage them to get into golf in a slightly different way. There's lots of different ways we can sort of hit on that lifestyle. But we've spoken previously about the people that worked at these golf clubs, and perhaps you may never meet if you don't play at these clubs. But these people have got stories to share. People they've met, things they've done, and we kind of want to perhaps mould that into the journal itself, so that we can share some of these stories and the experiences these people had and bring them to life a little bit. So there's so many different facets to the lifestyle element. You can sort of tell an awful lot about a person on a golf course when you spend an hour with them, and there's ways that people sort of express themselves on golf course. So clothing is a thing. People, I'm one of those people, when I played football, if I had a branded football boot, I had to have the shin pads to go with it. I'm the same on a golf course. So I've got my gloves, I've got my bag, my clothing, everything. And that's a bit about me. And you'll see that if you play golf with me, and you can see I've got friends that, just will pick whatever's out the wardrobe. And it's really, really interesting. So there's so many different little bits that we want to explore and perhaps sort of showcase through the journal. There's not sort of one thing that we want to pinpoint, but we all like the same stuff. So we like our clothes, we like our wines, our watches, our cars when you can afford them.
And that's why I really sort of wanted to get together with you guys, because it resonates so much with what Grapes and Greens is about from a podcast perspective. And what we've seen is that what we're trying to create is, when you come off the golf course, you sit on a terrace, may have a couple of beers, and then you think, actually, I'm not going to rush off. Let's get the wine open. And then at that point, all of those things that you're mentioning from a lifestyle perspective and what you want to put into the journal is what we're trying to get from the podcast as well, from certain individuals who either, so for example, Gusbourne, who Jonathan White, the chief executive, from a golfing background with Golf Breaks, but now chief executive of an English wine company. And wine is so important in that lifestyle piece. And then you go to clubs, you go to fashion, you go to watches, as you say, and there's so many stories that come out of it, but there's also so many different brands of those stories. So I think you're really onto the right feel for a magazine in today's world, I think. And I'm seeing that there's a lot more younger people coming into golf. And recently you went to pitch.
Yes, that's right.
And you're going to have a piece in, the Christmas edition, would that be?
Yeah, it'd be the winter one,
the winter edition. And, that resonates with me as well, because they're not necessarily golfers, but they're doing something while they're drinking, which is very different in my day where we were just drinking.
Yeah.
And you talked to Chris Ingham, and he, the co-founder of Pitch, he said, no, we're in the hospitality business, we're not in the golf business. But I do think that is a starting point. So if you're coming out of university, going to work in the city, Canary Wharf, and then walk into Pitch and think, I'll have a go, and I like it, then the lifestyle sort of starts with that and then resonates, well, I hit the ball okay, now I want to go on the golf course, and then I want to go on a better golf course. Yep. Then I want to travel. Then I want to go and find out, somewhere else, apart from the UK or Europe, where do I go to in America, or where do I go further afield? And I think that's where golf and wine especially, and we said this to Jonathan, is the beauty of the two is travel. And it brings in the opportunity to see so many different cultures, which brings in so many different lifestyles. And you can go to a dinner party and chat for hours about not only what you did from a golf perspective, but what you saw in the hotel, where else you visited, and the kind of people that you met as well. So you see so many great characters in golf and in and around golf.
There's never a boring golf day, is there? I mean, we use it as it's much to our wives discussed, any excuse to, if we've got around a golf, to have a meal after and a bottle of wine or a beer or whatever it might be. And before you know it, you lose 2 or 3 hours. It's and it brings all sorts of people together as well. And I think that's kind of what we're trying to portray. It's kind of, it is inclusive, and it's important that golf probably embraces those new things. But also there's an important part of that which needs to keep its traditions. I think that's what built golf to what it is today. And we're trying to navigate that line of both of those things, so that we're not, we're embracing all the new stuff, but we also respect the traditions. And we get that across in our journal as well.
I really like the fact that, the quality of the paper that you've used. I think just the presentation is really good. And obviously your social media is sort of matches that quality as well. I think you've gone out your way to do that, which I'm really impressed with, and why, again, we're sat here today. Very because kind, otherwise, why would we be here?
I think it was important, wasn't it? It was a long conversation and discussion and testing and making sure that you can have a great idea, and if you execute it in the wrong way, that's it. It's, it's done. It's had to land really quite impactfully to everybody that was going to see it for the first time. You know, like I say, I've read and still read other journals, but they are all in that style. They're all, you know, thick front and back, you know, nice quality, almost luxury feel to it. You know, put it on the coffee table, read an article at a time. It takes you a week to get through it.
Yeah.
So whether you subscribe or you buy an individual issue, effectively each issue we see it as a keepsake.
Yeah.
You know, we try and make them as timeless as possible so that you can revisit it. You know, we've designed it so it looks great on a coffee table or on your desk. Something that if you're sat there having a coffee, you pick up, and it you know, there's a lot of photography in it as well, so it can be a lookbook. You know, there's enough content in there for you to read through the stories. It's that fine line, and it's sort of it's something that's very different to what's out there at the moment, especially in the UK. We're struggling to sort of find something sort of on par with what we're doing. There are things in the US and in Scotland that are specifically around certain parts of golf, but what we've got, we think it's quite unique, and we're quite keen to keep it that way. It's a quality publication, and we want to keep it that way. We don't want we're not interested in the glossy stuff.
And is it made locally? I mean, we're all based around Guildford.
It's not. So we use almost like a printer broker. So we sat down with a local printer to discuss paper types, thickness, quality, all of these things. It was great. We were really happy. And then when we came to the actual purchase side of things, it was an awful lot more than we expected. And it got to the point where we were, for the volumes at which we were printing at the start, it was almost a non-starter. And after doing quite a lot of research online, I found sort of like a printer broker. So they go out, they take on mass from online. It's the only place I found you could design it exactly how we wanted, with all the paper, the size, the spine, everything we wanted in one. And now we use them, and they use 3 printers for us, and they'll push out to whichever's got the least work at the time, and they'll all do it on exactly the same matter. So it comes out consistently at a price that works for us. So the idea was we wanted to be local at the start, but it just from a cost point of view it didn't work. So.
Yeah. And where are you looking? Where's the market? Is it to go into clubs, or is it to go subscriptions for individuals? There's a bit of both. And is it just in the UK, or can people buy it in? Because we're in 31 countries now, Ash, I think. Yeah. So listening to this in New Zealand or Australia or America, or where else are we? I can't remember. Somewhere very unusual. So, you know, can they pick up a copy?
Yeah, I think it's subscription based. That's the idea, is to have obviously as many individuals subscribe as possible. But we recognise and we want to work with clubs as much as we possibly can to be in those clubs as a flick through in the clubhouse and all that sort of thing, but B, as a potential extension to their member base as well. And you know, we want to work with as many great clubs as possible, giving them full-length features in the magazine. And you know, we've got some brilliant clubs lined up over the next few months.
Can we mention those?
Yes, we're fortunate. We've got Royal St Paul's in a couple of weeks' time. We've got Royal Lytham, which is going to be a fantastic feature. Hopefully we get the weather for that. And we've just had Hailing Island. So, and everyone's been great, been hugely receptive. It's about what we do next with those clubs. And then, you know, we talk about lifestyle and the market there as well. And, you know, as Glenn said in the current volume, there's a great feature piece on the Scarlet Hotel down there, who were, you know, they've reused some of our photography for their own marketing and all that sort of thing. So there's a partnership there, I think, in hospitality and leisure and hotel venues around the country and groups. You know what it's like when you go to a boutique hotel or whatever, and there's a table full of magazines. So and I think, you know, we want to stay close to what the journal's about, and it won't be in every hotel you find. No. But there's
certainly the better ones.
Oh yeah,
certainly the best ones.
I mean, the Scotland one was interesting because I approached them. I'd been there with my wife the previous year, and I approached them just because of the types of golf courses that are in that local area. You've got Trevose, St Enodoc, Perranporth, Newquay. You've got, you know, some great links courses up there. And I approached them, and they said, that's funny you should say. We've had quite a few people that have approached us about staying here and about local golf. So actually, it's a really good time to do something like this. And they've got a sister hotel just down the road as well, which probably caters more for sort of larger groups, probably not too large, but like groups of 4. So they were really keen, and they loved the fact that we were going there and doing something, and they've loved the article. So it sort of opens you up, because there's probably, we've sort of said we'd quite like to do swings around the country so that people can kind of experience different parts of the country. So that's going to bring in sorts of hotels if there's not hotels on site. It's that hospitality element, restaurants. Local wine bars. We went to a fantastic little wine bar when we went to Paris. We played the Golf National. We stumbled into a place just on the way to a restaurant. We managed to introduce a couple of our friends to snails that they'd never had before over a bottle of wine.
First and last time, I think.
Good fun. So all these it opens up all these doors, and like you say, it's all part of the lifestyle. So
the way that we tell it as well, though, that I think is different. Is
because you write it as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
is it all 3 of you write? Or
yes.
Yeah, all 3 of us write, and I think we've got quite a. Obviously, we're still developing the style and stuff like that, but we do have quite a distinct style, I think, already, which, again, is what people like Scarlett and the clubs are quite enjoying. Is it's not a review piece. It's not your room's 50 square metres, the hole's 400 yards. Teaching people how to swing. It's more experience-led, and we want to do that in a way that's not too self-indulgent from our perspective, obviously. But we want to tell it in a way that people want to read it.
Yeah, it's how you want to. When you're reading it, it's how you want to experience it.
Yeah,
that's all I think.
If you what's it actually like?
Yeah, and that's what we're trying to do with the podcast. So yes, we're talking about it, but now in Series 2 we're bringing it to life. So you'll see a lot more film work done by Ash. So yes, you can listen to it. Now you can actually watch it and feel it, and you feel like. And then the beauty is we will also have opportunities for you to go and win the opportunity, the time to go down as well, which is really nice. Yeah. So. Yeah, we're lucky in the fact that I've been in the industry for 35 years, so I'm actually getting on for nearly 40, which is a bit scary. I didn't want to say that. You probably weren't even alive when I was like doing that. So, so the beauty of it is having connections and having belief in that you're going to produce something that is quality. And I definitely see the quality in your first 2 editions, which is great. What do you feel the feedback has been generally from your subscribers, and what have you taken on board that they would like to see as well?
The quality's been a real standout, I think, for everybody who's received it.
The first thing they mention, I think, is
the way that you receive it in the post. It's not just. I subscribe to a few different magazines, and it comes through and it's banged up, and there's no. It's just a magazine in an envelope that's been half ripped up by Royal Mail. Other providers are available. But I think it's the quality and it's the experience of just opening it before you even get into it. Yeah. We've had some good feedback on the style of writing, and that's a little bit different. A bit of feedback that we've had to take on board as well. Second volume perhaps didn't flow as well as it could have, and actually we've really worked on that in volume 3 that will come out shortly. So we're new, we're still learning how to do that. Yeah. But the feedback has been overwhelmingly positive from either people buying it or clubs hosting us that get to see copies as well.
And 3rd edition, is there more copies available? Are you being able to print more to get it out to more people and available?
That's the plan. We've got this month, or this quarter, there's a lot more. Obviously, being summer, it's the season for golf, isn't it? So there's a lot more sort of strong golf elements in there. Again, not mainstream stuff, so it'll have elements around the Men's Senior Open, Sunningdale, the Women's Open, Porth Call. So not your mainstream sort of your European Tour, DP World Tour, and your PGA events. It's the stuff that perhaps you don't necessarily always see. We did one in the last in the spring edition, which was at Hankley Common, which was the Amateur Open. Interesting stories that golf enthusiasts will want to read about, but perhaps you can't always get your hands on your mainstream media that you pick up in WH Smith's or whatever.
And it's relatable as well.
Yeah,
and you can go and basically walk around and see it without huge crowds.
Exactly.
You're not going to walk and see every shot of the Ryder Cup this weekend, are you?
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Well, the women's Open was fantastic because it was the first Open to be held on Welsh soil, so it's quite groundbreaking as well. And crowds were there. It was really good, and the weather was great all week till the Sunday, where it was a little bit ropey in the morning. I kind of wish I'd put a bit more on, to be honest, but sun came out and it's a fantastic finish in the end. But they're the sorts of those stories, we do them sort of in depth with the photography to back them up, and again you might get a nod to it in the mainstream media, but it's the sort of stuff that we quite like to focus on, to just give people a slightly different angle on golf and what's going on out there, and especially the women's game. I mean, it's rocketing at the moment, so it's huge.
These are spectacular courses as well that you might not see in mainstream media.
100%.
So Hankley is one of the most beautiful courses I've ever played, and you're not going to see it on Sky Sports.
And Ash was at Porthcawl and said, the condition of the golf course was second to none. I mean, it was absolutely mint condition. It's
beautiful.
Probably not big enough to hold an Open Championship, but for a ladies' Open, it wasn't like felt like it was second class. The quality of the turf was immaculate. And I think that I watched the last day, and certainly the commentary was all about how good the golf course condition was, and what a good golf course it is.
Well, it's amazing. We kind of lean into that with the men's senior Open as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the final day there was great, and Harrington came out the winner on top. But I mean, we sort of say in the journal, the real winner's Sunningdale. I mean, at that time of year, with the heather and everything like that, that's the thing that you sort of, whichever way you turn, strikes you, and it sort of links you back to it's not just about the tournament or anything, it's about the golf course, the clubhouse, the bit behind it. It's everything. It's that lifestyle piece, and that's the way we try and tell our stories.
I was fortunate enough to play maybe 3 weeks after the Seniors Open. In fact, I was saying I played one of your events, and that was, I mean, it is just one of the best venues in the world, I think.
And golf's the only sport, right, where you can walk in your hero's footsteps.
Yeah.
You can do that in football very rarely. I mean, I never played at Wembley. Cricket. Golf is the one. Golf is the one, and there's always that one golfer in your group when you're on a society that will point out when they birdie a hole that Rory bogeyed that a couple of weeks back. It's the only sport that really can do that, and that in itself is pretty amazing. And they're the sorts of things we want to capture.
Good point. Coming to what are your ambitions for the magazine? This is just about to see edition 3.
Yeah.
I keep thinking of episodes for the podcast, but edition 3, which is again a new baby coming in, and wherever, very new, where do you see yourself in 2 years' time, for example? So you've got maybe 10 editions out. You're hopefully seeing some money coming in.
Yeah.
You're getting some really good feedback and seeing, the magazine being picked up would it be in WH Smith's, for example? Would you see it in, people in airports and that type of thing? Is that where you'd like to see it?
I think you've got to have, as any startup business has, you've got to have quite lofty ambitions to get yourself going and be driven about it and stuff like that. So we want to be, firstly across the UK in lots of top 100 golf clubs, airport lounges. It's that style of magazine. Is it a Smith's? Not sure, but it could be. There are some good stuff. There's good stuff available in Smith's, things like Gentleman's Journal and that sort of thing. Similar types of publication. But I think we want to be, the largest kind of luxury feeling golf publication in the UK. After which you take it across into international as well.
Yeah.
I think the hardest thing we said that the hardest thing for us is going to be, as this grows potentially, we want to be all about the reader. We picked up during our market research, so many magazines from WH Smith and stuff, and there are some great ones out there. The one thing that's very evident in a lot of them is they're so advert heavy. First 10 pages, there's not gained anything from them, and it's the one thing we see, because it is a model, and we understand that, and it will bring in revenue. But it's one of the things where I've put magazines down if I haven't got to what I want within the first 4 or 5 pages, and you feel like you're losing, whatever you're paying for. I mean, we feel like we're reasonably priced for an issue. You can pay,
just so that people are listening, how much is the
so it's £12.50 per issue, and then it's £50 for a subscription.
Okay.
With that, you get a copy every quarter.
Okay.
There's no digital side to it at the moment. You can stay updated on our website and stuff, and that's very deliberate for the moment, just because of our ethos behind being a digital antidote. But as I said, we want to make sure that we're giving value to the reader. We don't want to be going down that route where we're 104 pages. The last 2 have been 104 pages. This one's going to be potentially 108, and there's no advertising effectively to date. There's nods to things. And we will incorporate it, but it's that finding that balance. We want, it's reader first for us, and that's kind of where we want to be. And then, the world is our oyster. We want to expand it beyond these shores. Yeah. There's enough golf stories in this country probably to last us for years to come. Yeah. But we want to be, looking into Europe and America and places like that from our perspective and for the journal really.
So, who is your target market?
Yeah, look, I think target market is anybody that loves golf, really. Golf, we said earlier, it creates an obsession with people, and I think it's one of those sports that it's really easy to dive headfirst into, right? You get all the kit, and then you go to all the clubs, and you get forever coming home with new golf gear and all that sort of thing. And I quite think that plays into a bit more of what you maybe say is the mass market. There are lots of people that love golf. I think really the true market is people like us, who's kind of played the game for a long time. Perhaps you're a little older and you don't want to just experience golf on a screen. People that want to maybe take 5 or 10 minutes and just have a coffee and get away from it all. So I think perhaps those people that have been around in the game a little bit longer, perhaps have spent the last few years playing at some really good golf clubs and experiencing what it's like to play at top 100 and all that sort of thing. I think we play into that audience quite nicely with certainly with some of the courses we've featured in the associated lifestyle pieces that we've done in the first few volumes. That's really where we're probably going to find ourselves seeing.
You see there's a female element to wanting to pick up the magazine as well, or the journal?
Yeah, something we definitely...
we talked about the Women's Open, for example.
Something I've said for years. Yeah. I think the women's game, you can see it. It's on the rise. I really enjoy watching the LPGA events.
Solheim Cup.
Yeah, all of that stuff. I mean, we sat at we did a trip down to St Mellion a couple of years back, and we got off the course and one of the bars just full to the brim, all guys, but the Solheim Cup was on TV. And we sat there, and they got a pool table in the corner, and we sat there for a good 2 or 3 hours and watched the whole thing, and it was like being in a football crowd. So you start to realise, it's certainly on the rise. It's something that we've kind of, we're certainly looking at incorporating into what we've got. It's a big part of the game now.
And a lifestyle perspective for females as well, just to have a look at, again, because that's a big element to it, isn't it? I mean, I know a lot of ladies who are getting in, sort of, ladies who are in that C-suite, they're professional ladies who are doing really well in their careers. Again, got to a certain age and see golf as a great opportunity, and now looking to look at what else is out there from a golf perspective and travel and lifestyle and whatever. So again, looking at different things from their perspective as well, I think is interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's amazing. We go to, I take my girls to Silvermere occasionally, and as soon as you go into they've got the new shop there and stuff, and they've kind of got you walk in and you've got the men's department, and then through the back you've got a really large women's department now, and a lot of the brands I haven't heard of. My eldest goes in there and it's like Christmas. She sees everything, the colours, all the different styles in there, and she's absolutely taken back by the clothing. She's like, Daddy, I really want to start playing golf. Like, there you go. So it's only getting bigger, and it's something we'll definitely start to incorporate. We've got something coming up in the winter edition on that, and as I said, in the last one we've done the Women's Open at Porth Call. So it's definitely there.
Great.
It's an important
That's
part
good
of
to
what
hear.
we're doing.
From a golf perspective, who would you love to interview?
We were talking about this in the car, weren't we?
Apart from the obvious,
the first thing I said to Glenn was, "How can you not say Tiger Woods?" it's really difficult, isn't it?
For our age as well. I mean,
growing up with
changed the game. I mean, I mean, people that weren't even into golf just watched him, and you talked. You go to school. I mean, during his pomp, you go to school, and people were talking about it. I mean, it'd be hard to look past that for our generation. I think. I mean, I'm slightly older than Stuart, but I think.
That said, there are some amazing people that we would love to be able to speak to, and to be like John Daly. Would love to spend some time just understanding what that guy's all about.
Oh, yeah.
Particularly his pre-round routine.
Yeah.
Would be fantastic.
If you get
Rory's a hero, so
if you get Nicholson and Arnie in a room and have a table for three and just have a chat, that would be great. One person I'd like to interview is Justin Rose. On a personal level, I mean, he's a local guy, so he's just up the road from where we live and where First Cup was sort of born. And I think he's very current with his performance in the last Ryder Cup and this Ryder Cup and the way he's played. You know, someone who's coming into sort of the twilight of their career as such, still very much there, and he's been phenomenal for Europe. Throughout all of those Ryder Cups he's played in, and just someone I'd like to just talk to and pick his brains about things. He's quite he's philosophical about golf, and he's a bit. I see him as a little bit like Harrington in the way that he talks about golf swings and stuff like that. Just an interesting guy. Love to sit down with him and just have a coffee.
And from a lifestyle perspective, who would you like to interview?
This is tough. This lifestyle is such a broad category, so it depends on kind of what you pick. And actually, you know, you look at the First Cut and the other lifestyle elements that we have, and actually it's hotels, it's wine, it's watches. I don't know any watchmakers. So it was a difficult one. I mean, I'm a foodie guy. I really like going out and experiencing different restaurants and stuff like that. I'd like to spend time with Tom Kerridge. I think that would be just a really interesting conversation, given his kind of journey up to where he is now, and a huge fitness guy now, is really obsessive, obviously, about whatever it is that he's choosing to do. And I find those people quite interesting to talk to. Just getting into...
Does he play golf?
I actually don't know if he plays golf. I sort of assume him to play golf because of the type of obsessive character that he is, but, you know, huge into his fitness, and just to understand kind of how that mind works, and because obviously that's how people become great at the sport that we all love, so it'd be interesting to kind of unpick that with a slightly different subject.
Yeah.
Tom Kerridge, I think, would be quite a good one.
Yeah, I was being a foodie as well. I mean, we were talking on the way up here, and I remember when my eldest was first born, in the early mornings, I'd get up and I'd watch Rick Stein for a couple of hours on there. A fascinating guy. We went down to Padstow this year, actually, went to his restaurant down there. The food's fantastic, and quite often at Christmas we'll go up to Winchester, and he's got a restaurant there as well. Fascinating guy. But then on the flip, there's so many people you could mention. I'd love to have a sit down with Enzo Ferrari. So many people. So many people you could sit down with, and just from it's so broad on a lifestyle aspect. And then there's golfers that have sort of branched out. Ernie Els into his vineyards.
Ernie Els would be a really good one, just because of how many people. What an amazing guest he'd be for the pod as well,
absolutely,
right?
Yeah. So, we're working on it.
That would be brilliant, because, you know, bringing the two things that we're talking a lot about and that we're writing a lot about in the journal, it would be great to experience.
And that's where I think, you know, the podcast and the journal work very closely together, because it's similar things, one in the written form and one to be able to listen to when you're driving in the car. So. Yeah, I think that's why, you know, we're kind of joining together as a partnership to work together and bring ideas from a lifestyle perspective, but also crossing over into golf, which I think is really exciting.
It is very exciting.
Really exciting.
Yeah.
We always ask this question of all our guests: golf lottery. So you've just won golf lottery. So you have as much money as you like, but you can only spend it on golf. What would it be on?
And one of these first. This is massive.
That'd be good
for a simulator.
I've never played golf in Scotland. I've played a lot of good golf in a lot of lovely places, but for whatever reason, you know, COVID being one, we never got to do our bucket list Scotland trip. So I think I would be, you know, booking straight away a kind of luxury golf tour of Scotland, go and play Troon, Turnberry, Prestwick, you know, but equally just go and get in the car, drive 40, 50 minutes and just find a pay and play 40, 50 quid round of golf that's probably beats anything we have down here. But no, I think I'd be straight up to Scotland and I'd be playing all of the bucket list golf that you could imagine around there.
Huh?
Maybe after a quick trip to Silvermere and a restock.
Yeah. After joining you on that, I think, I mean, I'm quite an obsessive golfer. If it was a golf lottery and you had no financial woes or anything like that, then I'd take a year to see how good I could get. That's just me. I look at this. I'm a bit of a stato, and I like to learn.
So what's your handicap now?
It's gone up to 4.1.
Okay, so it's still a very good player.
Yeah, so I got it down to 3. Then I had my latest child, and it creeps back up. So I can play golf, but I'd like to get better. I'd like to see how for me it's always one of those things where I just push myself a bit further, and if mortgage is all paid for and everything, then I could get out on the golf course every day and just and drill a few things. That would be, I think, give it a year, and then if I'm bored, then I'll come with you and travel around Scotland or Ireland or America.
And then the other question, you've got one round of golf left in your life. Where would you play, and who would you play it with, and why?
I think the easier part of that question is who I'd play it with, I think. Because there are so many great golf courses, and I'd probably play my last round with him, our other friend John. The third one's difficult.
Being third?
Well, hopefully when it would be, and if it's my last round of golf, it would be in a little while. Yeah. So it would probably be my son Teddy. Yeah. And that's just because what a lovely way to spend the last round of golf you're ever going to have. Where is really difficult. You could default to somewhere like a Sunningdale, somewhere like Catalonia, which was an incredible place to play golf. Equally, there's a course near us which feels like a bit of a therapy golf course, which if any of us ever have a bad round of golf, we go there just to feel better about life. Pine Ridge in Frimley, it's just it's a lovely, lovely layout, and it's quite a comfy place to play golf, and it makes you love the game again, so maybe there.
Yeah, cool.
I'll probably the same on the 3, but
we play a lot of golf together as a 3, don't we? And it's
chuck in John Daly he'd be quite good fun after, I think, wouldn't he? And before, probably.
For the afters.
Where? There's so many great courses. I mean, I'd love to play Cypress Point. Maybe County Down for me. There's something about golf. Golf to me has always been about. It does something. It calms me. Playing football all throughout my sort of younger years and teens. It's a hectic sport. Can be quite brutal at times as well. Golf was the complete opposite for me. And when I started thinking about golf courses, I mean, I automatically gravitate towards Scotland and Ireland just because of the scenery. And if you're having a last round of golf, then you should be somewhere beautiful. There's no way, you should be anywhere else really. Somewhere that probably focuses the mind more on the scenery than the golf. But probably County Down for me, I think.
Very good choice. I mean, not bad. What's it voted number 1 most times, I think?
Well, it's the only one where I see constantly tour pros. Tiger was interviewed, I can't remember where it was, and they said to me, "You're going to be at the Open next year," where it was, and he said, "Where is it?" It counts down. Yeah, going to be there. You just think, well, if people like that are saying it, then, yeah, definitely.
Gentlemen, it's been fascinating to talk to you. Wish you the very best of luck with first cut.
Thank you, and to you too.
And we look forward to working with you and coming up with some great ideas, some great stories, and getting everybody to listen to us, and we'll get everybody to read you.
Thanks for having us. Thank you very much.
Cheers.